Hey guys, it's Eric. I'm here with my friend Amber Wallace. She's another Ostomate. She has her own YouTube channel, and we're just gonna talk about stuff. So, how can people change their perspective? Because that's really the biggest barrier, in my opinion, is that attitude piece. If you're starting off negative about your ostomy, I can't see you having a good time with it, months later, weeks later, right? So
Right.
how do we shift that from being negative or being, just not wanting to have the ostomy? How do we get to acceptance and then living your life,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, for me, first and foremost, I'm a person of faith. So prayer was huge to me. But other than that, really, I just had to, at first, it wasn't easy, but I had to force myself to do normal things. Once I saw myself as normal again and not, at first I would walk in a room and I would be like, they see my ostomy bag, they know I have one, and I just felt like it was this big target on my head or something. Once I forced myself to do normal things like go hiking, run in a 5K, I went to a trampoline park with my friend. Just do things that made me feel normal. I go on dates. That was huge for me, and I have a boyfriend now. So just doing things that normal at the time 25-year-old girls do, and showing myself that there's nothing different about me. No one is perfect. Everybody has something about them that isn't perfect, and we're all just imperfect people. And once I just showed myself, I'm just living my life like everyone else, and this is just what allows me to live that life, then that's when I really started feeling okay with it. I just tried to see it as something that saved me, and I just started trying to do normal things. And even when I didn't want to, if I didn't want to leave the house or if I just wanted to stay in my room, just really getting up and getting that sense of normalcy and just not treating myself any differently. I couldn't expect everyone else to treat me normal if I wasn't treating myself like a normal girl.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
and
really the thing that made the difference for me.
that is huge. And yes, you have to sort of set a bar, because the way you treat and love yourself, that's gonna be a bar that other people are going to be looking at to set,
Yeah.
right? So if you're portraying a lot of negativity towards your ostomy, or I know some people, they're self-conscious when they're in public. If
Yeah.
you're clenching at your side and kind of making it seem like it's really bothering you, people are going to feel uncomfortable. So you
Exactly.
don't have to do that. The more comfortable you are, the more comfortable other people are going to be.
Yeah.
But for me, I think there's a couple of techniques and tools that you can use to help change that perspective a bit. So one of the things that I like to do is, rather than me dwelling on the things that I may not be able to do or can't do now that I have an ostomy, I start planning for the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
And as a challenge to myself, and it's kind of like a mental game, I can't honestly think of something that I can't do because of my ostomy. And I would challenge anybody to think of something,
Yeah.
because there are people out there, that have an ostomy that are doing everything from skydiving to scuba diving to racing cars to being in fashion shows. I mean, like, the list goes on. There's really nothing that I can think of that my ostomy prevents me from doing.
Right.
Right. So that might be something to consider, is look at, the things that you want to do. And I encourage people to look at some of the advocates that are out there, like you, for example. You're a radiant advocate for ostomates. And when you start to see other people doing those things, it encourages you to do those things. And when I was a very new, or even before I was an ostomate, that kind of freaked me out. I didn't know what I was and what I wasn't going to be able to do. But I started seeing people living happy lives, doing activities that I wasn't even doing before when I was
Exactly.
healthy. And I just started doing more and more after my ostomy. It really never slowed me down.
Yeah. And, another question that I've been asked, they're like, can you have children? and I definitely can. I'll be able to have children one day, if God has that in my plan. And then another big one is, can you go swimming? A lot of people think that you can't go swimming with an ostomy, and you definitely can. I go swimming, I go hiking, everything that I wanted to do before, but I couldn't do because I was sick. I can do it now. So it's kind of funny. I actually got to the point where I couldn't do it without the ostomy, and I can do it now with one.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think that's where the education piece is really important, right?
Yeah.
If you don't know perhaps maybe what accessories or supplies are available, you might have it in your mind that, oh, I may not be able to do that. Like contact sports.
Yeah.
That's a scary thing to think about when you have, you know, an exposed piece of your insides
Yeah.
on the outside. And you know, if somebody doesn't know about something like a stoma guard, they may
Yes.
just very well forgo any kind of physical activity like that. But the
Yeah.
reality is we have options that allow you to do these things. You know, I went zip lining, and that required me to wear a harness that, you know, went right over my stoma. It was quite tight, and there was a lot of movement in there. But you know what? I had a stoma guard. I knew, you know, ahead of time that I would be doing zip lining, and it was absolutely no problem. So, you know, with a bit of planning and a bit of knowledge as far as what's available,
Hmm.
you can really do anything.
Yeah. And as far as like, I know when I'm running, with the planning, that made me think of, you know, when I go run my 5Ks, or if I'm just running, I wear a fanny pack. And, you know, at first my friends were like, why are you wearing that fanny pack? I was like, I keep an extra ostomy bag in here, and I just keep a little change of supplies in there in case, you know, when I get sweaty or something, if it did leak. So I just go ahead and go do whatever I want, and then take an extra change of supplies with me wherever I go. So
Yeah, exactly.
the
Exactly.
emergency fanny pack, I take it everywhere.
Yeah. And for me, I wear, well, I used to have a travel pack that I would just carry on my shoulder. I've now changed that over to a sling bag
Yeah.
because I carry less supplies now in my emergency bag,
Yeah.
and more just other things like keys and cell phone, things like that. But
Yeah.
the supplies are always with me. I've just changed how they're with me, so it's uh, more like something I can wear as a fashion accessory now, and not necessarily have to worry about it being like my supply bag. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's things like that, you know, you evolve with it and you change, and things aren't always going to be like it is a month after surgery, right?
Yeah.
So,
And you're not always going to feel paranoid. I was so paranoid at first. I was just like, oh gosh, what if it gets on my clothes? And oh, and the fanny pack can be a fashion statement too. I
yeah,
mean, I
why
have
not?
a hot pink one.
Why not? Why not, right?
Gotta make it fun. So,
Right. Now, the second thing that I use, and this is something that you have to kind of train yourself to do, but the second thing that I use is I try to remove negative words, or I try to replace negative words with a more positive spin on it. So,
mhm.
just as an example, someone might say, "Well, I have to have this ostomy now. Now I'm stuck. I have to have an ostomy."
Yeah,
If you were to just swap a few words around and phrase it like, "I get to have an ostomy," that
exactly.
changes the entire meaning of the phrase, right?
Mhm.
It definitely puts a positive spin on it, but it really grounds your thought process. Rather than being angry at it and saying, well, now I'm stuck with it, I'm forced into it.
Yeah,
Now I have the option of having the ostomy. Now I get to have one.
yeah,
I always think about what it must have been like, you know, 100 years ago, when we didn't have the technology we have now to perform these surgeries, or to have supplies like we have today. And, you know, man, we are really, really lucky.
yeah.
We are really lucky. So whenever a negative thought creeps in my mind, I try to switch a few words around and turn it into something that is more positive, you know?
Right. One thing that me and my friend did, that I told you about earlier, she has the ostomy. We named our stomas. So, instead of, you know, saying my stoma, or, you know, if I have to go to the bathroom or something, we make a joke about it. And so hers was Stella, the stoma. She's going to crack up when she sees this. And mine is Trixie. So I'll be like, oh, got to go to the bathroom. Trixie's falling. And then it's just, something to laugh about. So instead of making it so serious, I just try to make it lighthearted, and some of my friends, they'll be like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. Where am I going to go? I was like, I don't have that problem.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah. I just try to make a joke about it now and just be lighthearted. So, and I told my surgeon about it. He was like, I actually read a book to my children, and one of the rabbits is named Trixie. So thank you for that, Amber. And I was like, well, just make it fun.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people will name their stomas. That's a fun thing to do. Why not, right?
Yeah.
For someone who maybe doesn't want to name their stoma, but they still want to make light of it, you can even find like pouch covers that have really cool designs or characters on there, especially if like you're a younger ostomate. I know there are a lot of like kids who have ostomies, and there are some really fun pouch covers, like with comic book characters on there or other characters that they're familiar with. And that's something that just makes the whole experience more fun. And you kind of forget about the fact that it's like a medical thing. And it just becomes like a cute thing, for people. So by all means.
Something for me that really helped me not to focus on it so much that I didn't even know about until a month or so after surgery. The clear bags, those drove me nuts because I was sitting there on the couch. I would be watching TV and I would be like, oh, what color is my output today? And so I had to get the non-transparent bag, but that helped me so much because mentally, like, I wasn't focusing on it. I wasn't analyzing every single thing that I ate. I was like, oh, what does this look like after I eat it? And sometimes I would worry, and it would give me anxiety. And so getting those non-transparent bags helped me a lot, and I didn't know about those when I first came home from the hospital because they just give you the clear ones there. So, and my insurance covers those, so I'm blessed to have great insurance. But the non-transparent bags were a lifesaver to me because I just wasn't focusing on it, and
right.
It just made it easier for me to adjust, especially at the beginning when I was just compulsive about everything. It made it a lot easier to not be so engraved in the details, and just not really think about it as much.
And that's actually a really good point. When you're in the hospital, the hospitals just tend to use like very generic products. They're probably going to be like really old-fashioned looking. Like they're not going to be as modern as some of the really nice supplies you get. Yeah, they're probably going to be a lot bigger than you need. They're going to most likely be clear. And they're not going to fit right. They're generic. Okay, let's just put it that way. They're going to be very plain bags that like everybody can use. But when you go home, start looking at some of the other products that are available. You're going to find some bags that look really great. And there's brands out there that are constantly improving the look of their bag, the type of materials that are used, how the bag functions and feels. So it looks less and less like a medical accessory. And it's really something that you should look into, especially if you've been given one of those hospital bags, because those really aren't the ones you're going to stick with forever, right?
Oh, man, no. And I think they're around the same price as the non-transparent bags, even if you're paying cash for your supplies. And so I even got some of the little mini bags, for if I'm wearing something tighter or, just if I'm more active. I just don't like to have the bigger bag. I feel like it, moves around more. So you can get the ones, I have one with me here. So these are the ones that I use just on a daily basis. And then look how small this one is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you don't know about it,
the size of my hand.
Right.
So, yeah, and I didn't know that they made them that small. I think they make them even smaller than that, like the fitness models and stuff that you were talking about earlier that have ostomies. I've seen some of those online, and they are just tiny. So, there's so many different options for whatever your lifestyle calls for. So, if you need a bigger one, you need a a bigger one, but if you want a smaller one just to, not feel like it's there as much, or if you want a non-transparent one, they have all those options. And so you just have to research it, whatever product you use, get on their website and check out all their different options and request samples. And that's what I did, and to find the one that I liked the best and made me feel the most comfortable with it.
Yeah. Just as a side tip, because not everyone has an ileostomy, if you have a colostomy, talk to your stoma nurse about irrigating your ostomy, your stoma, because what that does is it allows you to at least plan your day out a little bit better, because what you're doing is you're flushing your insides. There's a bit of a process to it, but just to make the story short, that will allow you to even wear like a tiny, they call like a stoma cap.
Yeah.
And it's not a bag anymore at that point. And that will give you some extra freedom, I would say, is maybe more convenience. So think about that if you have a colostomy. Unfortunately, ileostomies, because our stoma is outputting so often, it's not really an option for us to go with like a stoma cap for the whole day. But that is an option for some people. So look at your options, because you're not always going to be in the same situation as you were back in the hospital without any other options, right?
Right, exactly. I asked about those, and I was like, why would anyone ever want to cap off their stoma? Because I have an ileostomy as well, and so I was just so confused. I was like, that would never work.
Yeah.
And then I learned about the colostomies and how people with those don't go as frequently, so you can use that. So that's a great option for people with the colostomies, to not even feel like they have a bag. So
right. So like, if you have an ostomy, if you're like a new ostomate, or you're planning to get one, don't worry. Try not to worry as much. Try to learn as much as you can if you have the time to. If it's an emergency surgery, unfortunately, you're going to have to kind of learn as you go. But try to just learn what you can and then ease your way into it. There's going to be a bit of trial and error at the beginning, but you will get better. You'll become a pro very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I had it down within 6 months. Really, I mean, there was a few days where I was just like, gosh, this is hard. I don't see that light at the end of the tunnel, but I had a great support system. My family and friends were awesome. My church family was awesome. I had great doctors and nurses. But, it really didn't take as long as I thought it would. I thought, maybe in 3 years, I'll feel better about this, or I'll have it down like a pro. But really, in like 6 months, I knew after I ate when I would need to go to the bathroom. I kind of got on a schedule. I knew what time at night I needed to quit eating if, I wanted it to not be up all night with output. I knew what supplies I liked. I was back to my normal wardrobe instead of just baggy t-shirts and sweatpants all the time. So it really didn't take as long as I expected it would either. And I think that's something that is a misconception at first. I thought it was going to be several years before I would have it down and feel comfortable with it.
Yeah. Some people pick it up really quickly, right? And some people, it may take a few months to kind of get into the swing of things. But look, we're all essentially going to learn something new at some point, because there are new products coming out all the time, new advancements in, the adhesives that go in those wafers and the bags themselves. So, we're constantly getting better at this. And, don't be afraid of that. I welcome new products on the market. We have more options now than ever before. Some of the products look phenomenal. They feel fantastic. They last longer than they did before. They're more waterproof than they were before. There's so many advantages now. But, this is constantly improving. So what we have today is going to look nothing like what we're going to have in 5 years. And I look forward to that. So, if something isn't working out for you, look around. There are like literally hundreds of different supplies that you can mix and match, but know that something better is going to be coming down the line, year after year. So that's always something that I look forward to.
Yeah. And when you said mix and match, it made me think, you don't have to get the same brand of every single product that you use. If one brand of paste works better for you, but you like this brand of bag better, then that's totally fine. Because at the beginning, it's like, oh, they gave me this brand at the hospital. I have to use this brand every single product I get. And, you know, I think that some brands make certain products better than other brands. So I just have a mix and match of a lot of different things that, you know, I like this about this company and this about this company. So
Yes.
don't be afraid to mix and match either.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I don't know how it goes when you have to order supplies. For me, I have access to like local medical supply shops, and then I have access to online supply shops. And sometimes brands aren't available everywhere, right? So you may hear of a product made by, you know, ABC company, but they may not be selling it in your country. So just be
Right.
aware that, you know, there are going to be some things like that you're going to have to look at, but you don't have to stick to one brand. You're right. Brand loyalty, as much as I love it for certain things,
Yeah.
Ostomy Supplies isn't one of them.
Yeah.
If something works for me and it happens to be a different brand from the one that I love, then so be it. You know, I have to go with what works. And, you know, that's the best way to approach it.
That's how it is.
You'll have the best experience that way. So. Now, I know that we were talking about some of the questions that we get about ostomies and living with an ostomy and what it's like to have one. And I know you've got a couple of really good ones. I've come across quite a few different ones, but, you know, maybe we can talk a bit about that and maybe try to answer those questions. Because, you know, as funny as we find some of the questions, as oddball as we find some of the questions, a lot of them are relevant to that place and time.